Imagine holding a simple, handcrafted quilt, feeling the texture of worn cotton and threadbare patches. Now, imagine that within its intricate patterns lies a secret language, a silent communication network woven stitch by stitch amidst the thunder of cannons and the cries of a nation torn apart. What if the comforting warmth of a blanket concealed the dangerous whispers of rebellion? Welcome to our channel, where we unravel the hidden threads of history. Prepare yourself, because the story we are about to share might just change how you look at everyday objects forever. If you believe that secrets can be hidden in plain sight, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with someone who loves a great mystery. We promise, the revelations waiting at the end are worth it. Our story begins not on the blood-soaked battlefields of the American Civil War, but in the quiet, flickering candlelight of a small tailor shop tucked away in a border town, a place where loyalties were as patchwork as the quilts themselves. Here lived Alara, a seamstress whose needle danced across fabric with a grace that belied the turmoil gripping the land. Her hands, though calloused from endless hours of work, moved with the precision of an artist, creating garments and blankets that offered solace in uncertain times. Beside her, often sorting threads or sweeping scraps, was her young son, Thomas, barely 14, but with eyes that held a keen awareness beyond his years. He saw the worry etched on his mother's face, felt the tension that thickened the air whenever soldiers passed by or news from the front arrived, carried on hushed, fearful breaths. Life was a tapestry of scarce resources and unspoken fears. Every scrap of fabric was precious, every candle conserved. Yet, amidst the scarcity, Alara's quilts became renowned. They were more than just bed coverings. They were vibrant canvases telling stories through symbols. A log cabin block here, a flying geese pattern there. Neighbors whispered about their beauty, their comforting weight. But Thomas noticed something else. He noticed the peculiar way his mother would sometimes pause, her gaze distant, before adding a specific block of color, or how she'd arrange certain patterns and sequences that seemed just slightly off. There were hushed visits late at night, strangers who spoke in coded phrases and left carrying carefully folded bundles that weren't meant for warmth alone. Thomas, curious and observant, began to pay closer attention. He'd seen the standard quilt patterns in books and at the local mercantile. His mother's recent work felt different. A wagon wheel pattern seemed to have too many spokes. A bear's paw block appeared near a crossroads design, repeated on several quilts destined for specific, quiet customers who paid with urgency in their eyes. He initially dismissed it as artistic license, his mother's unique touch, but the sheer consistency, the subtle deviations that only a watchful eye would catch, planted a seed of unease in his young mind. What was his mother truly stitching into these fabrics? Was it just comfort, or was it something far more dangerous? He started sketching the patterns in a hidden notebook, comparing them, trying to decipher a meaning that felt both vital and terrifyingly elusive. The air in the small shop grew heavier, not just with the scent of lamp oil and wool, but with the weight of secrets desperately held. The threads his mother pulled were weaving more than just patterns. They were weaving a dangerous conspiracy, and young Thomas was unknowingly on the verge of pulling the first loose string. What hidden messages could these patterns hold? Think about it. Could a simple quilt pattern really direct escape routes or signal troop movements? Let us know your initial thoughts in the comments below. Days bled into weeks. Each stitch Alara made deepening the mystery that consumed Thomas. He spent his evenings poring over his sketches by faint moonlight, comparing the recurring symbols. The tumbling blocks pattern. His mother always placed it near the edge. Did it signify movement, perhaps escape? The log cabin block often had a yellow center, traditionally meaning a safe house's light, but sometimes Alara used black. Did that signal danger? A compromised location? He remembered whispered conversations about the Underground Railroad, secret routes guiding escaped slaves northward. Could his mother's quilts be maps for this perilous journey? Or perhaps something even bolder, something tied to the Union cause itself? Right under the noses of Confederate sympathizers in their tense border town, the possibility sent a shiver down his spine. a mix of fear and awe for his mother's quiet courage. His investigation, however, could not remain unnoticed. One afternoon, a stern-faced local official, known for his Confederate loyalties, entered the shop. His eyes lingered on a newly finished quilt draped over a chair, its pattern a complex series of monkey wrench and drunkard's path blocks. He questioned Alara, his voice smooth but laced with suspicion, asking about her customers, the destinations of her quilts. Thomas watched, heart pounding, as his mother answered calmly, her hands never ceasing their mending work, her voice betraying no hint of the secrets woven into the fabric before them. The official eventually left, seemingly placated, but the encounter left a residue of fear. The danger was real, palpable. Discovery meant not just imprisonment for his mother, but catastrophe for everyone involved in her silent network. This close call spurred Thomas onward. He needed more than just guesses. He recalled an old, worn almanac his late father, a staunch abolitionist, used to keep. Perhaps it held a clue. Searching through his father's meager belongings hidden in the attic, he found it tucked beneath loose floorboards. Inside, pressed between pages detailing planting seasons and astronomical charts, was a small, folded note. It wasn't in his father's hand. It contained sketches, crude drawings of quilt blocks next to cryptic phrases. Monkey wrench turned the wagon wheel towards the bear's paw, followed by a date. Drunkard's path leads away from the dark log cabin. It was a cipher. The almanac itself, a common household item, was the key. Certain dates mentioned in the notes corresponded to pages, and words on those pages, when cross-referenced with the quilt block names, started forming coherent messages. Supply drop needed. Patrol doubled on river crossing. Agent compromised. Seek new route. His breath hitched. This wasn't just about escape routes. It was active intelligence, communication vital to the Union sympathizers, or even spies operating locally. His mother wasn't just aiding runaways. She was a crucial node in a clandestine web of rebellion, passing information stitched into warmth and comfort. The weight of this knowledge pressed down on Thomas. What should he do? Confront his mother? Keep the secret? Sharing the burden of its danger? If you were Thomas, what would your next move be? Share your thoughts down below. We'd love to see your reasoning. The revelation settled upon Thomas, not with triumph, but with the chilling weight of responsibility. His mother, his quiet, unassuming mother, was a pivotal figure in a dangerous game of shadows and signals. He saw her now with new eyes. The slight tremble in her hands as she stitched wasn't just fatigue. The late-night visitors weren't just customers seeking warmth. Each quilt she crafted was a potential lifeline or a death warrant. He couldn't confront her directly. Revealing his knowledge might compromise her methods, perhaps even endanger her further if their conversation were overheard. Yet, how could he stand by, knowing the immense risks she took daily? He decided on a path of quiet vigilance, becoming his mother's unseen guardian. He started paying closer attention to the patterns, cross-referencing them with the almanac cipher almost instantly in his mind. He organized her scrap fabrics, subtly ensuring the right colors and shapes were easily accessible when needed, and listened more intently to the hushed conversations at the door, trying to gauge the urgency or danger level associated with each clandestine exchange. His vigilance soon proved critical. One evening, Alara worked frantically on a new quilt, her movements sharp with anxiety. The pattern was complex, featuring a cluster of North Star blocks pointing towards a Job's Tears pattern, a combination Thomas hadn't seen before. Consulting the almanac, his blood ran cold. The cipher spoke of betrayal, trusted guide compromised, ambush planned at midnight crossing, warn the bear. The bear, he knew that code name. It referred to a burly, kind blacksmith in the next town, known for helping Union soldiers and escaped slaves alike. He was supposed to guide a crucial group tonight. The quilt was meant for a contact leaving within the hour, but would the warning arrive in time? Doubt gnawed at Thomas. The contact was notoriously slow, the route circuitous. Midnight was fast approaching. Panic warred with resolve. His mother trusted her system, her network, but Thomas, holding the decoded message, felt the seconds ticking away like hammer blows. If the warning didn't reach the blacksmith, disaster was certain. He couldn't rely on the usual chain of communication. He had to act, slipping the finished quilt destined for the slow contact under his own cloak. He replaced it with an older, innocuous one. Then, heart pounding against his ribs like a trapped bird, Thomas slipped out into the moonless night. He knew a shortcut to the blacksmith's town, a treacherous path through the woods his father had shown him once. He ran, fueled by adrenaline and the terrifying image of the impending ambush. Branches clawed at him, the darkness absolute, every rustle of leaves sounding like pursuing soldiers. The fate of the blacksmith, the group he was guiding, and potentially the exposure of his mother's entire operation rested on his young shoulders. This was no longer about deciphering patterns. It was a race against time, a desperate gamble spurred by the secrets hidden in his mother's stitches. Have you ever felt compelled to take a huge risk for someone you love? That feeling of your heart pounding, knowing the stakes are impossibly high. If you've reached this point in the story, comment vigilance below to let us know you're on this journey with Thomas. The forest was a suffocating labyrinth, each shadow seeming to morph into a pursuing soldier, every snapped twig echoing like a gunshot in the oppressive silence. Thomas pushed onward, lungs burning, legs screaming in protest, the stolen quilt clutched tightly like a shield. The weight of his mission pressed down heavier than any physical exhaustion. He wasn't just carrying fabric and thread. He carried lives in his hands. Images flashed through his mind. The kind blacksmith, the hopeful faces of those seeking freedom, his mother's resolute expression as she stitched defiance into cotton. Failure was unthinkable. He navigated by instinct, by the faint memory of his father's long-ago guidance, praying he was heading in the right direction, praying he wasn't too late. The air grew colder, the scent of the nearby river cutting through the earthy smell of the woods. He was close. He stumbled out of the tree lane, gasping for breath, and saw it, the faint, flickering light from the blacksmith's forge, smoke curling lazily into the starless sky. But between him and the forge stood the dark silhouette of the river crossing, the place mentioned in the cipher, and near it, deeper shadows detached themselves from the trees, figures waiting, patient and deadly. The ambush was set. He couldn't risk the crossing. Skirting the riverbank, keeping low, Thomas circled towards the back of the blacksmith's workshop. He found a small, grimy window. Peering inside, he saw the blacksmith, the bear, a mountain of a man, speaking in low tones to a small, huddled group, men, women, even a child, their faces etched with fear and exhaustion. They were preparing to leave. Thomas tapped urgently on the glass. The blacksmith frowned, startled, then motioned the others to silence. He moved cautiously towards the window, suspicion hardening his features. Thomas pressed his face close, whispering frantically. Ambush. At the crossing. A quilt message. North Star, Job's tears. My mother sent warning. The contact was too slow. He held up a corner of the quilt he carried, showing a distinctive flying geese, pattern the blacksmith might recognize from Alara's previous works. Recognition, then alarm, dawned in the blacksmith's eyes. He understood the coded reference, the urgency. He glanced towards the river, then back at the desperate boy outside his window. Years of navigating this treacherous path had taught him to trust instinct, to recognize genuine warnings. He gave Thomas a curt nod, a silent acknowledgement of the immense risk the boy had taken. Inside, chaos erupted, but it was a controlled chaos. The blacksmith quickly directed the group towards a hidden cellar beneath the forge, a temporary sanctuary. He extinguished the main lights, plunging the workshop into near darkness, save for the dying embers of the forge. Thomas remained outside, hidden in the bushes, his heart hammering. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Then he heard them, muffled shouts, the sound of horses approaching the crossing, figures emerging from the shadows, converging on the now empty path. There was a tense silence, followed by frustrated commands as the ambushers realized their prey wasn't there. They searched the riverbanks briefly, their lanterns cutting uselessly through the darkness, before eventually riding off, their mission thwarted. Thomas finally allowed himself to breathe, slumping against the rough wooden wall of the workshop, relief washing over him in dizzying waves. He had done it. He had delivered the warning. Lives were saved, thanks to a message stitched in thread and a boy's desperate courage. Later, when the immediate danger had passed, the blacksmith quietly let Thomas in. He looked at the boy, then at the quilt Thomas had brought, the wrong quilt, yet the one that had spurred him into action. "Your mother," the blacksmith said, his voice gruff but filled with respect. "She weaves strong cloth, and she raised a strong son." He didn't ask how Thomas knew the code, understanding the need for secrecy. He simply accepted the miracle, the timely intervention. Thomas didn't stay long. He knew he needed to return before his absence was noted, before the stolen quilt was missed. The blacksmith ensured he had a safer, quicker route back, away from the river. As Thomas slipped back into his own home, finding the replacement quilt still innocuously draped where he'd left it, he saw his mother sitting by the cold hearth, her sewing idol in her lap. She looked up as he entered, her eyes meeting his. There was no accusation, no surprise, only a deep, knowing look that transcended words. Did she know? Did she suspect his frantic journey? His role in the night's events? He couldn't be sure, but in that shared gaze, a new understanding passed between them. A silent acknowledgement of the shared burden, the secret allegiance that bound them tighter than any thread. The war raged on, and Alara continued to stitch. Her quilts, vibrant and warm, continued to carry their silent messages, contributing in their own small way to the vast, complex tapestry of the conflict. Thomas never spoke of the cipher or his midnight run, but he remained her silent partner, her vigilant protector, understanding the profound power hidden within his mother's artistry. He learned that courage wasn't always loud like cannon fire. Sometimes, it was as quiet as a needle pulling thread, as subtle as a pattern hiding in plain sight. It was the courage to weave hope into despair, to stitch rebellion into the fabric of everyday life. This story, inspired by the accounts and legends of coded quilts during the Civil War, reminds us that history's most pivotal moments often hinge on the bravery of ordinary people performing extraordinary acts, their contributions unseen, their messages hidden until someone looks close enough to truly understand. Their vigilance, their quiet defiance, shape the future in ways we are still uncovering. What secrets lie hidden in your own family histories? What unspoken messages might be concealed in the heirlooms passed down through generations? The past is never truly past. It echoes in the present, waiting to be heard. If this journey into the hidden world of Civil War quilt codes has captivated you, has made you think, has stirred something within you, then help us continue to unravel these incredible stories. Subscribe to the channel. Become part of our community of curious minds. Your support allows us to shine a light on the forgotten corners of history, revealing the resilience and ingenuity of the human spirit. Thank you for watching, and never stop searching for the patterns hidden just beneath the surface.